He's at war with woke.
Joe Concha
Thinks liberals are a joke.
Joe Concha.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome everybody on this lovely Monday night, at least until you need Noah's Ark to get out of here, because apparently in some parts of the New York, New Jersey area, I understand there are more people listening outside of the area, but 4 inches of rain are headed here tomorrow, Tuesday. And boy, won't that be fun. Now, like I was just telling my 10-year-old kid, 4 inches of rain is equal to 40 inches of snow. In other words, for every 1 inch of rain, there's 10 inches of snow. So imagine a 40-inch snowstorm coming. That's the rain that is coming. So, look, we had a nice little run here for the last 5 days, but that's summer, and we do need the rain sometimes, but you just don't want it in this kind of quantity all at once. Anyway, we always start our show off with weather for whatever reason, but we're going to talk about Dr. Anthony Fauci here, because the diary is out, apparently. I don't know any grown man that keeps a diary. I'm sorry, I don't. I just don't. I mean, what I do is I take a bunch of pictures of my kids and videos, and then through editing apps, I'm able to put together these movies here and there. So when we're older and yay, we appreciate all these vacations and all this time together and the sports. But am I going to write anything down like at 9:30 at night? I'm going to find a desk somewhere and be like, here's what happened with me today. That's not normal for a grown man to do. I'm sorry. It just ain't. But Fauci did it because he is a patent narcissist. And the diary is now coming out. And boy, this is like Jim Acosta on steroids as far as patting himself on the back over and over again in his own diary during the pandemic, during the COVID years. Here's one thing he wrote in April of 2020, quote, "Big front page article about me appeared in the Washington Post. Very flattering. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable." Oh, okay. Where was your left hand during this, or right hand for that matter? Because this feels very something as far as pleasuring yourself, because you got a big front page article in the Washington Post that was very flattering about you. People were dying at the time. Your job was to save lives, and all you're thinking about is how you are being glazed by the media. Glazed being a more modern term that my 10-year-old aforementioned taught me, as far as when you kiss somebody's ass. That's basically what that is. And of course, our media did that. All right, Fauci continues. "It is not hyperbole to say that today I am the most famous and talked about person in the country and one of the most recognizable people in the world. Countless profiles on me in multiple media. I cannot even read all the things that were written about me because I'm so busy." Yeah, apparently you could. And so busy that you're writing a diary entry about it. Let's continue. "President Trump seems enamored of me, even though I'm taking the spotlight away from him." So, yeah. Oh, boy. It gets even better. He admits that the whole, wet market thing with the rogue bat, and that's where the COVID virus came from. Not true. He admits it in the diary as well. So now we know that was BS completely. This person should be in jail. I'm sorry. He lied under oath. It's called this thing called perjury. Under oath again, saying that COVID came from a wet market. He was questioned over and over again by the likes of Jim Jordan and Rand Paul. And he said, nope, that is absolute fact. And if you question me, you question the science, and never question the science. This was obviously an opinion. But here is where it really, really becomes infuriating. He was in contact with several people in the media over and over again, including, let's see, Jake Tapper, the guy who claims to be the next Walter Cronkite. He is objective. He will speak truth to power without fear or favor to party. Well, here's a quote from Fauci's book. Quote, "Had dinner over Jake Tapper and Jen Tapper's house in D.C., Terrific couple. Friendship building," is what he wrote in April of 2020. Friendship building. Well, that's weird, because he's a government official and Tapper is an anchor. So should the government official and the anchor on the network that used to do news be friendship building and having dinner together? Shouldn't the anchor be scrutinizing what the government official is saying? Or at least try to ask questions around getting to the truth? Or are you going to have them over for dinner? Door number 2 appears to be the answer. Okay, let's go on. Meanwhile, here's another entry from Fauci. Quote, after my Laura Ingraham hit, Jake Tapper texted me sarcastically, hard to believe Laura Ingraham went to Dartmouth, isn't it? All of us alumni are very proud, he wrote sarcastically. And that's Fauci sharing that. Oh, man. It gets better. Here is the bromance between Tapper and Fauci as the pandemic wore on, per Fauci's diary. Quote, phone call with Jake Tapper. Jake wanted to make sure the interview did not cause me any problems. What kind of behavior is this? In the 20th century, if this was ever revealed, where an anchor calls you afterwards and says, or texts and says, oh, I just want to make sure that interview, if it got a little uncomfortable, I'm sorry. I don't want to cause you any problems, government official. You're fired. That's it. You never work in this industry again. Oh, I could go on. There's more as far as Tapper and Fauci. Then we get to Dana Bash, also of CNN, the craptastic news network. Again, she has long portrayed herself as a journalist seeking truth without fear or favor to party. But as these diaries reveal, she too acted as a snarky operative for the Democrat Party. April 2021, Fauci versus Jim Jordan, Republican, Congress. They went back and forth, heated exchange in a House hearing. Fauci wrote in his diary that Dana Bash texted him directly to tell him he was the, quote, better man, unquote, while relaying on a joke that no one would blame him if he told Jordan to go, quote, F himself. Bash texted Fauci again the next day to gleefully share a Vanity Fair headline mocking Jordan. Quoting Fauci, I received a text from Dana Bash pointing out that Vanity Fair recently had a headline that said, Jim Jordan trips over his own butt trying to debate Anthony Fauci. Wow. The following day, Fauci wrote that Bash texted again and again. Now, here's the thing. After President Trump called out the media during the House Correspondents' Dinner and roasted several CNN anchors, including Tapper, including Anderson Cooper, including Dana Bash, here's what CNN President Mark Thompson wrote in a statement. And this is so funny when you consider what I just shared with you of these anchors completely and totally kissing up to Anthony Fauci and literally either giving him questions to ask before certain interviews or getting the questions in advance or all these things where obviously they're acting as his friend, as his advocate, as activists. Well, here's what CNN said after Trump's White House Correspondents' Dinner speech. Quote, we stand by our journalists and the integrity and fair-mindedness with which CNN reports the news. Honest, accurate journalism may sometimes irritate politicians, but our right to report and present that reporting to the public without government interference is fully protected by the U.S. Constitution. CNN will continue to exercise this right. Yeah, honest, accurate. While you're working hand in glove with Anthony Fauci to make sure that his narrative, attacking Republicans, attacking Trump, making Fauci the god on COVID, when obviously he was wrong, he lied, he knew he was wrong, and it didn't matter. While Fauci was writing diary entries about his actual, oh my goodness gracious, press coverage. That's a sick, sick person. I'm sorry. Right? I'm on Fox. All right? People write about what I say on Fox sometimes. If you think I'm even Googling myself once to see what people are writing about me, or I care, I don't. I really don't. Because I'm a normal person. I go to my kids' games. I coach my kids' teams. I go for hikes with my dogs. I do this radio show. I write columns for the Washington Examiner. I go on Fox. I write books. I do speeches. I have no time to look for, wow, what are people writing about me? Because I don't care. Who would care about that sort of thing unless you're a complete and total narcissist that's totally and completely insecure? That's exactly what we are dealing with here as far as Anthony Fauci is concerned. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. Well, we do have some sound bites, as you would expect.
Ideological rigidity, I think. There's no reason not to get vaccinated. Why are we having red states and places in the South that are very highly ideological in one way, not wanting to get vaccinations? Vaccinations have nothing to do with politics. It's a public health issue. It doesn't matter who you are. The virus doesn't know whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. For sure, we know that. And yet there is that divide of people wanting to get vaccinated and not wanting to get vaccinated, which is really unfortunate because it's losing lives.
The conservative political conference, CPAC, is going on this weekend.
Yeah, in other words, Fauci could say whatever he wanted with Tapper, and Tapper was never going to push back because, well, how are you going to get your dinner buddy to come back over again if you make him feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form? And this should be a huge, huge scandal. But, wow, ABC ain't covered it. CNN ain't covering it. NBC is not covering it. MS Now is not covering it. Why? Because they're all complicit as far as the Anthony Fauci lie. And when we look back on COVID, the most ridiculous time of our lives, by far. I remember there's a hiking trail that I go on every day. I go back with my dogs. I was back there today. But I remember in 2020, they closed it off because they were afraid that too many people were getting outside of their homes and walking outdoors on a nature trail. And if there are too many people there, then COVID could spread. Outdoors, it literally would jump from one person to another as you're walking by them. This was so stupid. And what these people did to my kids when my son was pre-K, my daughter was kindergarten going into first, and to make them go on iPads for 2 hours a day, otherwise they were home for so long, well after the data showed that they should be back in school. They're not at risk in any way, shape, or form. And the teachers' unions, most importantly, dictated what the Democrat Party did during that time. And Randi Weingarten is an evil, evil person because she pushed all these kids out of school. And now she goes on television to say, it never happened. I swear it didn't. Oh, man. All right. Well, anyway, let's get to some other fun stuff, which is Hasan Piker calling Elon Musk a failure. Actually, this guy just got lucky. He got lucky. Tesla, lucky. SpaceX, lucky. All these companies that he created to make the world a better place was just this elitist. He says this, by the way. If you watch the video, it's Hasan Piker in his studio with a nice glass of Chianti, to quote Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. I never understood that. I thought it was Chianti, but he says Chianti for other reason. He says, a census taker tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti. I've never heard it been called Chianti, but I'm pretty sure that Piker has Chianti next to him, like nice big glass. The ultimate elitist, 34 years old, rich kid, doing the podcast, saying America deserved 9/11, and is Zora Memdani's BFF. Well, here he is going off on Elon Musk, who actually has created things and created jobs and has done such great things for the world. And the best part is that Hasan Piker cannot even articulate in any coherent way, listen to the stumbling here, on why Elon Musk is a failure. And cut number 15, go.
Elon Musk is a failure.
Mm.
And yet, in spite of his failures, because he lucked into a initial
right,
because he happened to be at the right place at the right time.
What?
He has failed upwards with his endless wealth.
Right. Okay. Boy, what a great argument. I mean, failed upward. Really. Hasan Piker talking about Elon Musk, who has done, again, you're looking at one of the great success stories of all time. And this is who Democrats hang their hat on as far as being their Joe Rogan. The left's Joe Rogan. He's the podcast guy who's going to save us and really bring in a whole bunch of anti-Semites to vote for us. Well, I guess maybe that part may be working. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is The Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
Welcome back, everybody. So, Dr. Abdul El Sayed is running for Senate in Michigan. And now we're coming up, it's basically a week from now at this point. August 4th is that primary, and I'm telling you, this is huge. Because if we have a situation where El Sayed is actually able to win as the Democrat socialist, then that's a purple state. It's not New York City. It's not Washington, D.C. It's not Washington State or Seattle. All right. This is a purple state. And if a socialist can win in a purple state against a Republican, a real Republican, Mike Rogers is not Curtis Sliwa. Let's make that, perfectly clear. One's a cartoon character and one is a real candidate, has a real shot of winning. Now, all of that said, if El Sayed can win in Michigan, then AOC is going to be your nominee for president. That is the exact dot you connect if that happens. Here's El Sayed, however, because this guy is insane and a fake doctor, by the way, doesn't even have a medical license. He calls himself a doctor, which drives me crazy, being married to an ER doctor and stuff. El Sayed on America being built on stolen land. Okay, buddy, just give it back. It's really that simple. Cut number 2, go.
In reflecting on those past 250 years, it's impossible not to also reflect on all the ways that the basic rights, the basic advantages that I took for granted were denied people throughout our history, founded in the removal of indigenous people, in compromise to the enslavement of people because of the color of their skin.
Oh. All right, great. So we're going back to whole, defund the police and abolish ICE and give back the stolen land. Democrats, at least the socialists, are going back to 2020 in that playbook, and that ain't going to work in 2026. That is the prediction. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, Kamala Harris, who we've talked about on this show before in recent weeks, has been the front runner. And if you look at the Real Clear Politics average, and that's an aggregate of all these major polls, she is still leading by double digits over Gavin Newsom. But things are shifting, it appears, where you have John Ossoff, who is a senator from Georgia, not exactly what you would deem an alpha male. He is gaining. Pete Buttigieg has always been there as far as a possible candidate that could take the nomination, but in the end, I just don't see that happening. But he's there, and then what we have is Ossoff eclipsing Kamala in the betting markets, which I take more seriously than anything else. So in the end, you may have Newsom falling because everybody's kind of sick of him already, right? As far as just not authentic, too slick, horrible record. I don't see Democrats electing the rich, white, elitist, inauthentic guy who will say anything to be president. That's Newsom. So I don't see that happening. Kamala is a profoundly horrible candidate. And now she appears to be dropping as well. And then you're going to end up, I think, with either an Ossoff, AOC kind of ticket. And especially if it's AOC. And the thing is, with Kamala ran from the left. Her consultants told her that if you want to win in swing states, you have to go to the center. So when she said she was against fracking, she was for fracking. And when she said that she was for EV mandates, as was the Biden administration, the Biden-Harris administration, then suddenly she was against it. And then suddenly she was running literally border security ads using Trump's wall to show that she's serious about border security. I could go on, but she flipped on every major issue. And she lost every swing state as a result because, well, who could trust her? And by the way, she's not likable. And oh, by the way, there was nostalgia for Trump after 4 years of Biden. That's the whole ballgame. Now, all that said, AOC will not run from the left. She believes, and she has said over and over again, and give her credit for this, at least that she stays with her convictions, I suppose. Convictions are profoundly wrong for the country. They're bad ideas, but she sticks with them. She thinks that if the party runs more to the left, more towards socialism, that will win elections nationally. Which, again, in Pennsylvania, if you want to be against fracking, and in Michigan, you want to be against the auto industry in terms of promoting EV mandates, which costs a lot of jobs in the UAW, United Auto Workers Union, which is the biggest union in Michigan. In Wisconsin, if you are for eliminating farts out of cows, which AOC has spoken out against, well, there's a big farming industry in Wisconsin, and that could be a big problem. Arizona, border security, if you're for giving amnesty and giving citizenship to all those who come into this country illegally, well, that's not going to fly in Arizona. And then Georgia and North Carolina, good old boy, ACC, Atlantic Coast Conference states, well, that's going to be a big problem down there as well in terms of anything socialist. So she won't win. All right, I'm giving you the preview now. And I don't want to hear about, well, she's really great on social media and she's got a great smile. And boy, she brings energy. She brings energy to a very small niche audience, but she cannot win nationally. That is where we are at this point. Now, all that said, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Maine Democrats, okay, I'm not going to call it a purple state. I think Kamala won Maine by 5 or 7 points. All right, it hasn't gone red since, I believe, 1988. And now what they're doing is they are, just like Kamala, selecting their nominee. In other words, the Nazi tattoo guy, polling badly. They had to get him out. Oh, all those abuse allegations, rape allegations against women. Whoops. Black people don't tip. Bad. I love communism. Not good. They got rid of that guy. So now they're going to back this guy named Troy Jackson, who is like a Timu Plattner, right? He is the Diet Coke of Plattner, right? And the problem is that when you insert people like Kamala was, like Troy Jackson, then maybe some voters on the Democrat side say, hey, what? We had no say in this whatsoever. Nonetheless, here they are in cut number 3, the House chair there, talking about how they're actually saving democracy by choosing a candidate for the people. In cut number 3, go.
And because of the work of these 16 county chairs, over 17,000 Mainers were able to cast a ballot to elect the delegates that are standing here before us today. And that is grassroots democracy in action, and it would not have happened without them.
Oh, that's great. So these county chairs selected your candidate. That's grassroots democracy. No, it's not actually. If you held a lightning primary and allowed actual people to vote, that's democracy. But again, the fact that this party keeps running on this line over and over again that they're going to save democracy by installing candidates Soviet style is utterly remarkable to me. Okay, one more cut about Maine and their elections, and boy, these people are on the up and up. Cut number 4, go.
And this has been an incredible exercise for us, that democracy, while sometimes really messy, is always, always worth fighting for.
Okay.
And that doing what is right, even though sometimes that's not the easiest path, doing what is right is what us Maine Democrats will choose every damn time.
Yeah, so all the people clapping there supported Graham Plattner, who literally had a Nazi tattoo on his chest. And they're all okay with that because it's all about power and nothing more. And hey, if that guy hates the Jews, then, well, if we could get back into power, we'll save democracy. I just can't get my head around this. Meanwhile, Victor Davis Hanson, who I had a nice conversation. I do speeches around the country, and sometimes there's some pretty big deals there. My daughter looked this up, actually. All right, I'll share this. And I don't know why she looked it up, because I'm not into this, as I mentioned earlier, as far as like celebrity, vanity, all that stuff, narcissism. I don't care. You should see the way I'm dressed right now. Let's see. Cubs jersey, white shorts, flip-flops. Like, that's just the way I roll. I am not about, hey, look at me. I'm not Jim Acosta. Now, all of that said, for whatever reason, my 12-year-old daughter, and unfortunately she hurt her knee. She was playing soccer yesterday and kind of got tackled from behind. It wasn't a malicious thing. It just happens in soccer sometimes. But we have to go for an MRI tomorrow to see if she tore her ACL at 12 years old, which is very, very sad. We think it's a sprain. We hope it's a sprain. But the point is that, well, you know, while we were going to the doctor yesterday, she decided to look up what level celebrity I was. And she goes, Dad, guess what? You're a C-list celebrity. What are you talking about? She asked ChatGPT what level of celebrity I was. And apparently I'm C-list. And then she did look up something else and found that I could be B minus as far as a celebrity, which I guess, and she gave me all the definitions. A-list celebrity is like Tom Cruise, right? It's, I don't know, give me a big, celebrity. I guess Julia Roberts, but she's not really relevant anymore. I don't know, Olivia Rodrigo or Taylor Swift. There you go. Right. So I'm C. I'll take C. C all day long. D apparently is reality show people that show up and they're popular for like 8 months and then they go away, or they kind of stick around for a while. Think Kathy Griffin, right? That sort of person. So I'm above Kathy Griffin. That's good. And maybe B, I don't know where I'm going with this. The point is that Victor Davis Hanson, who I met, does some great interviews because I think he's very measured. And I think he's a smart guy. Here he is talking about Kamala Harris and why AOC does not have the same excuse that Kamala does in terms of maybe a certain problem that Kamala has. And we'll leave it at that. Cut number 12. Go.
If you listen to Kamala Harris, as I said earlier, she has a vocabulary of 500 words. And she loops around, and she does have too much to drink socially. And so she's made a fool of herself in her last 2 or 3 public occasions, right? Word salads. But then if you look at AOC when she went overseas, she can't speak either. She's worse. And she doesn't have the excuse of alcohol, if that's one of the things that makes Kamala word loop. But Kamala's run for president twice. So what people are saying is, I'm not going to give her a third chance. I'm tired of her. She's a loser. She lost in 2020. She lost she didn't even get one vote, right, in the primary. And she lost in 2024. I'm not going to give her a third chance. But then when they look at the alternative, well, I haven't seen Pete Buttigieg lately. Maybe he'll work. Yes, but when you see his new beard and his puff vest going into a cafe and hello, I'm Pete Buttigieg and I served in Afghanistan, and I speak 5 languages, including Swedish, and I ride a bike whenever I can. That's how he talks, and no one's going to vote for that guy. And AOC, again, is no.
Well, there you go. Those are the options, according to Victor Davis Hanson. But I love that, though. Kamala's an alcoholic, so she has an excuse. AOC, not one, and still also can't speak. So that's very interesting. Meanwhile, I love this. Bernie Sanders was asked over the weekend about he was the most staunch outside of Ro Khanna, the most staunch advocate of the Nazi tattoo guy that we've talked about, Graham Platna, right? As Bernie calls him, Graham Platna. Yeah. Well, apparently he has no regrets whatsoever over supporting Platner, who again, Nazi tattoo, Bernie, you're Jewish. Maybe that should have been a red line. It wasn't for Bernie because, again, it's all about power. Cut number 17, go.
You were an early supporter in Maine of Graham Plattner. You helped him rise. Do you regret not acting earlier to call for him to drop out, given the warning signs? Would that have given you a leg up here with Jackson?
No, I don't think so. When we heard the serious allegations made against them, I wanted to get on the phone. I wanted to talk to him. I did. I asked, along with virtually all his supporters, that he should get out of the race, and he did.
But before the last allegations of rape, there were several women who were ex-girlfriends of Plattner who said that he abused them as well. And he still stayed with him, Bernie did. Only until it was politically impossible to actually support this guy did Bernie Sanders say that, Graham Plattner, I had to pull back my endorsement. And now Troy Jackson is the man. He is my man. Oh, my goodness gracious. It's a whole bowl of wrong. Anyway, this is Joe Concha. This is the Joe Concha Show. Back with so much more. We wrap this puppy up in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition.
Joe Concha.
Sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. This is the Joe Concha Show, weekday edition, sponsored by the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Here's Joe Concha.
And welcome back, everybody. So, there were some chants outside of Gracie Mansion today. Big crowd chanting this in cut number 10. 10, go.
Mamdani! Remove Mamdani! Remove Mamdani! Remove Mamdani! Remove Mamdani!
Yeah, see, when you got 3 syllables as your last name, that's always a good thing. Mamdani, right? So when you do remove Mamdani, it flows. It's nice, right? Remove Adams. No, not quite the same thing. So anyway, more and more people upset with the mayor. Again, where's the free childcare? Where are the free busing? Where is, I don't know, the free grocery stores? That's right, 2029 they're going to come. When, at that point, Mamdani will be long gone, running for the Senate, guaranteed, primarying Chuck Schumer. Mark it down. AOC runs for president. Mamdani runs for Senate. And the socialists take over the Democrat Party as we know it. Meanwhile, Mamdani is now being asked, in a very polite way, forget it, demanded, like totally said, completely and totally by these 9/11 families, do not attend the 25th anniversary of 9/11 because of who you support and what you really believe, based on your own tweets, based on your own words from years ago. Okay. And oh, by the way, you want to arrest, Bibi Netanyahu. You said that literally a day ago. You're anti-Israel completely and totally. You accuse that country of genocide. So maybe going to the 9/11 ceremony may be a distraction and maybe stay home. Anyway, here we go. Mamdani asked about those 9/11 families, wanted to ban him from that ceremony, and he gives the slick answer that you would expect in cut number 11. Go.
A number of people who are survivors of 9/11 are calling on you not to go to 9/11 memorial services. I wonder how you feel about the fact that they're trying to keep you away.
I will proudly honor the families, the survivors, the first responders forever impacted by that horrific terror attack by standing alongside them at this year's 9/11 commemoration, reaffirming that we will never forget the solemn day felt by all of us who call this city home and, frankly, by all of us who call this country home.
All right. And so we'll see how that goes, which I would imagine if he shows up, the booze and the distractions and what we should be doing in terms of honoring those who died in the worst way possible down at the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. If he shows up, it's going to be anarchy, and it should be, because he should not be there in any way, shape, or form, and he knows it, quite frankly. Meanwhile, Zohran Mamdani is part of the Democrat Socialists of America, and Megan Romer was on with my colleague Shannon Bream on Fox News over the weekend, and, well, she lays out the Democrat Socialist platform, and it's every bit as ridiculous, ludicrous, and scary as one would expect in cut number 20. Go.
So we're going to put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate.
True.
Okay. Oh. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them.
Yep.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
Whoa. As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Oh. Yeah, again, that, as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. So this is where we are at this point. No prisons, no border security. Everybody in the country illegally becomes a citizen. There's no presidency. There's no Senate. Oh, man. And this is an organization that the mayor of New York is a part of. He should be asked the same questions, and the way Shannon did that was perfect. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you support yes or no? And this person, Megan Romer, who is the co-chair of the DSA, says, yep, to all of it. Blow up the country completely. Imagine that. No prisons. No border security. Every illegal that comes into the country is given citizenship. No Senate, no presidency. You want to live with that? Okay. So Mamdani, in every press conference, and the New York media, wake up, ask him the same thing Shannon Bream just asked this DSA co-chair. Do you support all these things that your platform supports? And let Mr. Slick talk his way out of it. That's where we are at this point, and that is something that cannot happen in this country, because this will not be a country anymore. I know I sound like Trump right now, but it's not hyperbole. They're literally saying it on national television. They're not hiding it. It's not Trojan horse kind of stuff. Like, okay, we're going to run towards the middle, and then we get in, and we're going to, do all this stuff. Anyway, Hakeem Jeffries, last cut number 21. He's not going to rule out any of this stuff because he is petrified these people are going to primary him. And cut number 21, go.
Your party is fighting over whether the path back to the majority runs through the center or the activist left, who want to defund the police, abolish ICE, end aid to Israel, open borders. I know that you call the Democratic Party a mosaic, but are you going to push any of those positions if you win the majority back?
Well, what unites the party, and certainly what will take place over the next 100 days beginning today, is a focus on us fighting for an affordable America.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
when you think Kevin, of garbage, think of Hakeem.
I didn't even, like Jedi mind trick kind of stuff. Like, play it again one more time, please. Thank you.
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
This guy does not know what to do here. He was not prepped for this. It's not like, socialists want to abolish prisons and want to give every illegal here amnesty and citizenship, and want to eliminate the Senate, want to eliminate the presidency, want to abolish ICE, want government-run healthcare completely. What do you think about that? Well, it's a big tent, and I'm not quite sure how to answer that question, because when you think of garbage, Kevin...
When you think of garbage, think of Hakeem.
Thank you. And on that note, this has been the Joe Concha Show. What a Monday night. We're back tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time on WABC and on stations around the country, around the world. Until then, I got 2 words for you. Bye-bye.